Good morning, everyone. My name is Daniel Huzzy. I'm a computer engineering major and the hardware specialist for this project, and I'm joined by Cameron Avandipour, who is one of our software specialists, and Juki Win, who is our other software specialist. And we're currently working in conjunction with the HBS lab over at UTD and Dr. Tedessa to develop an end-to-end deep reinforcement learning process for the electromyography control of a robotic hand. So essentially what that means is HBS has been working with creating humanoid robots for some time now, and they've been working on specifically creating synthetic muscles. We wanted to enhance that process by developing a system which will allow us to use the electrical impulses in the muscle group in a person's forearm to then control the 5 fingers of a robotic hand that's being used with synthetic muscles. Now, our specific solution is centered around the NVIDIA Jetson TX2, which is a dual-core CPU, 1 GPU process from NVIDIA. It's a very capable, you can code in Python, it runs Linux, it's a very sophisticated hardware. Now, our specific solution to use the Jetson consists of 2 specific processes. One of them hardware, one of them software. Our hardware process is divided into 2 systems, an ADC and a DAC circuit, both of which are 8-bit and 16-channel. The ADC will sample the 8 differential inputs from the forearm, amplify those signals, and then relay those to the Jetson. And then the DAC will come in after the Jetson has created our 5 control voltages, and then it will amplify those voltages in a way that is adjustable to allow us to use theoretically any kind of hand that the HBS lab has available, anywhere from down from 5 volts up to about 20 volts. And then the second part of our project that is very sophisticated is our software side. Now, our software side is going to use a DGP, a deep Gaussian process, and a deep convolutional neural network to process the signals that we gain from the EMG, help to filter out noise, and because the muscle groups are so close together, help to isolate the individual signals so that we can control, say, a single finger on the robotic hand just from 8 inputs that are just placed evenly around the person's hand itself. Now, we will use the DGP and the DCNN processes together. They will be compared, built using the TensorFlow library and coded in Python, and those will determine which of the 2 of those is more effective in terms of isolating that input and giving us more reliable control signals. Now, the whole process of using the EMG signals to control a robotic hand is not something that's new, but our process is actually fairly unique in the sense that, one, of course, we're using the Jetson, which most of these projects that have been out there, we've found from research, have been done using Arduino. The Jetson is much more powerful, which will allow us to be much more sophisticated in our use of algorithms, and therefore much more reliable. Secondly, our process is end-to-end, which what that means is we are taking the signal initially, and then through our entire process, controlling the hand. A lot of places that have used the Jetson have done it for classification, which is just simply trying to find the signals themselves. They're not using it for control, which we are. And the third process is that we are going to use continuous control. A lot of solutions that people have designed using Arduinos are binary, meaning they can have an open or a close command. We're going to have a continuous command. And we'll evaluate that based, of course, on the accuracy of our measurements, our power efficiency, and our lack of noise. And this upcoming semester, we will be fabricating our solution now that it's been very developed, and we will be testing it and training that algorithm over the course of the next semester. And I think that's everything we have.
Any questions?
What is the ultimate goal of controlling the robotic hand? Is it, to assist people who don't have a hand? Is it to have a robotic arm and it's hazardous to the human body, or what's the ultimate goal?
So the goal is actually, it's very varied. Because of working with the HBS lab, they've done a lot of humanoid robotic simulation, so we hopefully can use that to say maybe we wanted to have a character that was controlled, we could do it that way. But that is the medical application of using that for prosthetics is also really enticing and something that this could definitely be adapted for.
Can you describe the importance of the sensor locations on the human arm with respect to the accuracy of the robotic arm?
Yeah, so we actually found a paper, because that's a good question, is like, I mean, are you trying to individually target the specific muscles we think are responsible for flexion or extension, or are we just going to try and, just kind of blanket it and just kind of evenly space the sensors and just take all the data we can? And people have looked into this, and the information is about the same. So we've actually run into people who've published, results of, trying to individually target muscles versus just spacing the sensors out, and their classification rates were exactly the same. So we figure all the information is there. We just got to tune our algorithms actually.
If I can expand on that. So because of the density of the clusters, trying to specifically target them, the diminishing returns is so low. So if we have the 8 arrays, especially with the neural network processes that we're going to be using, that will allow us to more effectively isolate it. because of the nature, it doesn't actually matter as long as what you need is more inputs and more signals that can then be processed. That will give us much better returns.
Yeah, really, my question was really more around if, let's say you have a hazardous environment and you're trying to do this, and I walk up and I strap on the, whatever it is, right? And if I get it off by 20 degrees,
Right.
is it still going to work right? So the accuracy of like where the sensor number 1, where is it supposed to be on my arm?
Mhm.
Sensor number 2, where is it supposed to be on my arm?
There's actually
how do you?
There actually, that actually isn't. It actually isn't necessarily necessary to have, say, sensor 1 at exactly 0 degrees and the next one at 20 degrees. As long as all 8 sensors are there, they will still gain the process, and it will be able to learn based on that positioning. And theoretically, we'll train it to do multiple positions.
Like in theory, we don't have to try and customize it to each person, but there probably is going to be like an orientation, like
Yeah.
put on this way. But like it shouldn't be that exact,
Like a blood pressure cuff.
Right.
It
It doesn't
put
really-
put it on this way, and if it's off by 10 degrees, it really doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah.
Right, so
it should
Yeah,
be.
that's really
Yeah,
good
I mean,
idea. Sometimes
thinking
people
about it
say
in
the
terms of
sensor
how
not
does
right
it
anymore.
orient,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
does it orient, and maybe that's, maybe there's a particular shape of that
Right.
cuff that can only orient one way.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, we'll definitely consider that.
Something to test.
You mentioned also that, you are gonna be able to not only open or close the hand, but some way in between? I mean,
Yes. Yeah, continuous control. So that's the
Continuous
thing.
command.
Most people you only do discrete. You open or close, open or
Right.
close. But we're hoping to do continuous control. Yeah.
So theoretically, you could use it then to grab an object and move it, as opposed to just simply
Right.
telling it close
Yeah.
and then open later.
Okay, let's thank the team.
And,